Welcome, dear students, to this class on the poem Woman by Nikki Giivanni. Nikki Giivanni is an African-American writer from Tennessee who was involved actively in black radical movements. She has won many awards for her books as well as songs. In this particular poem, The Woman, she talks about how a woman's need for support, companionship, need for acceptance is, how she's denied all these things. As we have noticed, all the poems that we have learned from this anthology, Breaking the Silence, there is something similar. There is a common thread line that we find in all the poems and also in short stories and also in the essay. It's all about female creativity and how it is stifled by custom, by tradition, by men, by the society, and so on. In this poem, she talks about a woman who is in need of support, who wants acceptance of her husband, of her man, but she's denied of that. And finally, she resigns to her fate of being herself. Please turn to the page 80. We'll read the poem first. She wanted to be a blade of grass amid the fields, but he wouldn't agree to be the dandelion. She wanted to be a robin singing through the leaves, but he refused to be her tree. She spun herself into a web and, looking for a place to rest, turned to him, but he stood straight, declining to be her corner. She tried to be a book, but he wouldn't read. She turned herself into a bulb, but he wouldn't let her grow. She decided to become a woman, and though he still refused to be a man, she decided it was all right. So there are different pictures, images that comes to our mind while reading this poem. The first image is that of a grass blade and the dandelion. So that is the first image that she makes. She wanted to be a grass blade leaning onto the dandelion, but her man refused to be a support, refused to be a dandelion, or refused to be the pillar of strength whom she can lean. And the second image is that of a robin who is singing freely in the sky. And she wanted to be a robin singing among the leaves, expressing herself. It's about female creativity, and that also was denied. Her man refused to be a tree which would give rest to this robin who is singing. So the image of this robin and the tree, the robin represents this woman, symbolizes this woman, and the tree, the man who gives support. But here we find that this robin, this woman is denied that tree, that support, that place of rest, place of she's denied that abode. And next image is that of a spider weaving a web in the corner of a room. So she thought that she couldn't fly freely, move freely, express freely. So she thought that she would resign herself, or she would confine herself in a corner, maybe in the confines of four walls of the house. But again, she was denied that. She thought that she will weave herself a web where she can rest herself, but she was denied that corner to weave a web. She was not given that space to rest, a private space or room of her own to rest. She spun herself into a web and, looking for a place to rest, turned to him, but he stood straight, declining to be her corner. Then she tried to be. So these are the images where she wanted to express herself before the society. Then she thought that maybe I won't do that. I won't show my creative talents to the society, but I would reveal my ideas, the potential to him. But he refused to read. I wanted to be a book, but he refused to read. She tried to be a book of ideas, revelations, but he wouldn't read that. Then she turned herself into a bulb, but he wouldn't let her grow. She resigned herself like a bulb buried in the soil. She became a bulb and buried herself, buried her talents, buried her potential inside, under the soil, underneath. And these bulbs of different tubers, when they are, even though they are buried underneath, when the rain falls, they grow up and bloom flowers, spreading fragrance. But here, these tubers, this bulb is denied all those nourishing things, and he wouldn't let her grow, and she lay buried there. And then, she thought that she decided to become a woman who is acceptable to the society, following all the norms of the patriarchal society. But still, he refused to be her man. He refused to accept her who she is. And then finally, she decided that it was all right. Whatever happens, I don't want the acceptance or companionship or support of this man, of the society, or the patriarchal society. It's all right. And she moves on with her determination. This is actually a beautiful poem. We don't find capital letters. The structure is very interesting, and we have these run-on lines and all these visual images. This imagery, they are all beautiful. The imagery of the robin, the grass blade, and the dandelion, the spider weaving the web in the corner, and the bulbs buried underneath the soil, the bulbs of different tubers or plants, and how it grows out. But this woman is denied that growth. So it's a very beautiful poem. I want all of you to read this poem. Shall we read once again? Recollect all these images and connect it how a woman's life is in the society, in a patriarchal, male-dominated society. She wanted to be a blade of grass amid the fields, but he wouldn't agree to be the dandelion. She wanted to be a robin singing through the leaves, but he refused to be her tree. She spun herself into a web and, looking for a place to rest, turned to him. But he stood straight, declining to be her corner. She tried to be a book, but he wouldn't read. She turned herself into a bulb, but he wouldn't let her grow. She decided to become a woman, and though he still refused to be a man, she decided it was all right. Thank you. Have a good day.